This video is about my first impressions of the Canon EF M 32mm lens. The lens was announced almost 7 years ago, and there are good reasons why it's taken me so long to buy it. I now actually have two, but those reasons will probably bore people. So let's get straight into it. And first we'll take a look at the lens and then look at some sample images. And because I've been quite busy lately, I haven't been able to use the lens as much as I would have liked, but I do have enough images to get some decent first impressions. Like all EF M lenses, the construction is of plastic, but it's good quality plastic and will last a long time. And this lens does actually have a metal lens mount. It's made in Malaysia. Initially, all EF M lenses had a metal lens mount, but then Canon tried to save money on the high volume lenses by making it out of plastic. So initially, the 18-55 was the kit lens. That's got a metal lens mount made in Taiwan. And then later on, they changed that to the 15-45. That became the kit lens, and that had a plastic lens mount also made in Taiwan. And I guess because the 32mm is quite a special lens, they reverted back to a metal lens mount just for this lens. And there's a focus limiter switch on the lens with two positions. 4 is from the minimum focusing distance, 23 centimeters to infinity, and the other position is 0.5 meter to infinity. And this is not a lens that I intend doing any close-up or macro work with. I have other lenses to do that. So I just leave it in the 0.5 meter to infinity position. I took some photos of my lad playing football and took just two lenses. In post-processing, images taken with my EF 70-200 f4L IS all needed sharpening. Photos taken with the EF M 32mm not only didn't need any sharpening, but if I applied sharpening, they looked over sharpened. The lens is very, very sharp. For daytime shooting, when there's lots of light and I don't need that big f1.4 maximum aperture, there's no real advantage shooting with this lens. I'd actually prefer the flexibility of a zoom. So for daytime shooting, I would probably opt for my EF M 11-22 or 18-55 over this lens. Colours and contrast are great, but that's to be expected. I have manual focus FD lenses that are over 40 years old, EF lenses, EFL lenses, EFS lenses, and other EF M lenses, and they've all got great colours and contrasts. I wouldn't expect anything else these days. With regard to focal length, EOS M is aps-c, and a 32mm lens on a 1.6 times crop factor sensor is 51.2. And when I first started photography in 1981 with a Canon A1, it came with a 50mm lens. That's pretty close to 51.2. And I didn't find that lens particularly useful. It was too short for portraits and too long for general photography. So I bought a 28mm lens and a 70-210 zoom, and I retired the 50mm. And this is the same problem with the EF M 32mm. I just find that the focal length isn't that useful for me. It's too short in some situations and too long in others. For portraits, it's quite nice in some ways. It's very sharp, and because of the big maximum aperture, you can get a nice bokeh effect. But because of the relatively short focal length, you need to be right in someone's face. And when I'm taking portraits, I like to have a bit of a distance between me and my subjects. Generally, I like a lens of at least 85mm. It's very good for portraits in low light conditions. This photo was taken in an inside market where it was quite dark, but you can still use ISO 100 and you can still use relatively fast shutter speeds. Because of its big maximum aperture, the lens really lends itself to low light conditions. And sometimes the focal length is fine. Other times I find myself wanting a wider focal length, and I actually prefer my EOS M 22mm f2. It's not quite as fast, but it's still fast. It gives a wider perspective, and I really love the little pancake lenses. I love them for their small size and low weight. I've got a couple of pancake lenses, the EOS M 22mm and also the EF 40mm f2.8. Not the fault of the lens, this is purely physics, but if you're shooting in low light and need quite a big aperture, there's going to be a very shallow depth of field, and only part of your image is going to be in focus. This is another example of an image taken at f1.4 where only part of the scene is in focus. Even when taking pictures of multiple people, you might find that if they are not quite the same distance from the camera as each other, one person will be in focus but others won't be in focus. Most EOS M lenses have image stabilization. This one and the EOS M 22mm f2 are the exceptions. They don't have IS, but for short focal length fast lenses you don't really need image stabilization, and I don't miss it on the EOS M 32mm. I took this panning shot at 1/15th of a second, and I think it's quite a nice effect. I once submitted a panning shot similar to this to a stock image site, and it was rejected on the grounds that it was blurred. What do they expect at 1/15th of a second? To summarise, this is a lens I've wanted badly for a long time, and now that I have one, I actually have two, it hasn't quite met expectations and it's left me a little bit underwhelmed. Technically, there's nothing wrong with the lens. It's very fast, it's very sharp, it's got great colours. As I said earlier in the video, the focal length isn't ideal for me. In some situations I prefer a shorter lens, in other situations a longer lens. And whenever I'm taking photos with this lens, there's normally another lens I can think of that I'd rather be using than this one. Thank you for watching.